carnival time in New Orleans, and that means king cake is on the table and it is circulating in every conversation that food lovers are having in this town. You walk into a party with a king cake, people want to know, first off the bat, where'd you get it? Where'd it come from? And then, what's in it? Ooh, what do you mean what's in it? This is where the debate comes down. In the realm of the king cake, there's the traditional king cake, unfilled, just as simple as can be. A brioche ring with sugar, purple, green, and gold, a lace of cinnamon seamed throughout it, and that's it, with, of course, a baby inside. Now, these days, king cakes can come at you from any different direction, with flavors that seem to have come off the moon, if the moon was made of Creole cream cheese. But there's so much variety, there's so much ways that people put their own stamp on the king cake. It does come down to a debate of whether you want traditional as the best, or one of these creative examples, the filled king cakes, to start things off. Now let's start with the traditional king cake, because let's face it, that's where this whole king cake craze started. The traditional king cake is what set the standard. It fed the craze that led to all the trends and all the different innovations and creative interpretations that you see now. But for New Orleans people who grew up with king cake, they grew up with a plain kind. And plain doesn't mean flavorless, it just means it sticks to this really basic classic template. The name Mackenzie's still rings loud in the ears of king cake lovers, because very often that was the first one they had. Now, what you have here is just a ring of brioche, purple, green, and gold sugar, the baby inside, a seam of cinnamon running throughout it, and you slice into it, it's almost like a loaf of bread with sugar on top. The best way, in my opinion, to have a king cake like this is to dunk it in your coffee in the morning, or at your office coffee break. And you combine those two things, a little bit of the sugar falls off into your coffee, now you've got king cake coffee on the side. That's the traditional king cake, and there are people out there who swear that this is the only way king cake should be. Now, we know New Orleans loves king cakes, and we know when it comes to love, there are so many different ways to express that. We see it all over the king cake kingdom these days. You've got everything from goat cheese and apples in your king cake, to as much chocolate as you'd pour over a hot fudge sundae, to even things like savory king cakes stuffed with boudin, or the muffalata fillings stuffed into a king cake. Now, these things are bending the idea of what a king cake can be, but it all comes from this idea of taking something that people love and carrying it through, pushing the limits, getting creative with it, putting your signature on it. But for many people, where king cakes first veered off of the traditional model was simply with a filling. A little bit of cream cheese on the inside, maybe some more elaborate toppings over the edge of the king cake, on top of the king cake, to make it a little more festive, a little more of a party. Now, if you're a traditionalist, that was the thin edge of the wedge. That's where everything started changing, just by having a cream cheese filling. But for those of us who love the variety and the diversity of the king cakes and are always looking for something new, you slice into one of these filled king cakes, and it's king cake, but plus. It's king cake with these extra flavors. And again, it's fodder for that next conversation of where'd you get that king cake?